Hi, Gary. How
Hello.
are you doing today?
Doing okay.
Can you
Good.
believe you've been doing this job for 6 months now?
Yeah, I know. The time has gone by so fast. It's great. It's awesome.
So, how are you enjoying your job of coordinating the deaf education program so far?
Oh, I enjoy it so much. I love coming to work and continuing to do it. I want it to continue.
That's good to know. I've been watching you and I can tell you enjoy your work, and that's probably why you're successful at it. Today, since it's been 6 months, it's really important that we kind of look back at your work, find out what's being challenging for you, what's going well, and also what's really important about this meeting today is, well, and I can kind of tell you're going to come out and have a satisfactory or above evaluation, then you get a one-step raise. So that should excite you a little bit. Okay, have you ever gone through one of these evaluations before, working under the state of Utah?
Yeah, I have. Lots of time. I've had a lot of work experience.
Yeah, I forgot. You used to work at the School for the Deaf, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. That's right.
Good. So, really, I prefer just to sit informally and talk about how things are going and ask where you need support and where I can help you out and find out what kind of things you think are going well. But because we're under state government, we have to follow a pretty specific process. We have to go through some certain goals. So that's what we'll be doing, and we'll try and make it as informal as possible, but we do have to follow a certain format to make it fair for everybody. Is that all right with you? Okay, the first goal we're going to go through is...
That's right. That's fine.
Okay, the first goal that we're going to talk about is your technical effectiveness. And this doesn't mean how good you are at computers. This means how good you are at doing your job, which is developing and implementing community education programs for the deaf. So this, like to get an outstanding rating, this is how you would have to do your job. You would have to consistently perform all job responsibilities with a high degree of quality, timeliness, and precision, and always apply sound technical approaches to your areas of responsibilities. Keep abreast of and use relevant state-of-the-art practices viewed as a technical resource by other staff. And I want you to know that I have rated you as an outstanding in this area because of the way you have the idea to set up webcams in areas throughout the state. How did you get that idea, and how did you make that successful?
I just felt like it showed up, and the idea came up, and I realized that was a goal and an opportunity that I needed to do to improve and to allow people to have feedback and be able to socialize better. And so I wanted to do something revolving around that.
Well, I know you just taught a class on deaf culture, to the St. George group by using the video remote technology? Have you been able to look at the evaluations for how that class went? And what kind of response did you get?
Oh, they enjoyed it a lot. They loved to learn about the culture. And they evaluated that. They were like, oh, they wanted to learn more and be able to learn more. And I thought that was great, and to have them to continue that education.
Great. So it was mostly positive. Even though you were doing it from the Deaf Center, they felt like they still got a lot out of it, even though you weren't there in person. Did anyone complain that you should go down there in person?
No, they didn't mind. They felt comfortable, being able to go back and forth, and they were able to form a relationship with each other and to follow each other, and they didn't mind.
Okay, that's great. Well, I'm really excited about you developing this technology and finding a way to make it work. And I think we're just beginning, and that's why I gave you an outstanding in your technical effectiveness, because of the way we're able to offer classes to a lot more people throughout the state. So that's great. Okay, the next one is planning and organization. And on that, I gave you an above standard, and let me just read what that means. That means you have regularly assessed the needs, you've analyzed the data, prioritized the activities, evaluated results, and revised approaches as needed when planning to accomplish work assignments. Uses effective time management strategies to achieve acceptable results in most situations. And I feel like where you really did well in this area in your planning was before you came up with a lot of ideas of classes you wanted to offer, you came up with that survey to try and find out what deaf and hard of hearing people throughout the state, what kind of classes that they wanted. So how did you get the most response? Did you get a better response interviewing in person or online? Or I heard that you got back over 150 responses, and I want me to tell you how you were tell me how you became so successful at that.
I met with people, about 250. They all came together and they were motivated, and I encouraged them to put in a response to give me feedback, and I met with them to be able to put down what they wanted. And they told me what they needed, and I wrote down the list to be able to help them so that, everyone was comfortable, and so that they were able to know what they needed and they could tell me. If I didn't do this, I wouldn't have had any clue on what they wanted, and there was no way on which we could be able to improve their learning. And so this allowed them to have more opportunities to know what they want and to be able to increase their development and be better students.
Well, I just want to let you know I'm really pleased that you took the time to really find out what people wanted before you just went ahead and set up a lot of classes. And I know that since we've just been doing this, the Deaf Center, for 6 months, it's probably taken a lot of time just to plan a few classes. But I'm excited because the classes that you've delivered, they look like they've been really successful. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of the average attendance at the classes and what the evaluations say? Did you end up with good evaluations?
People were happy and they were satisfied. They enjoyed that they had the support and be able to have the program to improve their development. And they were satisfied. I was able to provide more technology opportunities for them to be able to understand it better, and everyone had the opportunity to be satisfied, and so they were involved. And so they were all very much enjoyed it and enjoyed the
That's
time.
good feedback. So what do you feel like you can do to solve those problems?
The important things is before I set up, I test and I plan and I get ready and I do it again. But I need to condense and set up more technology to be able to use it, and so it doesn't get all messed up. Maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes before, I start, make sure that everything is all ready and set up. And it'll help it more to be able to be set up, things are all nice and smooth. And so that would be really important to start before the presentation so we don't have to worry about that during the presentation. And so that they understand, how to use it and not be like, I don't know how to use this.
I think that's a really good plan. It looks like you've discovered that offering successful classes is a lot more than just hiring good teachers. There's a lot of little details that you have to think about, and some of those things you learn from experience. But overall, I am very pleased with your organizational skills, and I just think you're really paying attention to those details that make the difference. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So the last goal that we have here that we need to talk about is your ethics and your professionalism. And I just gave you a standard on that, and I guess I rated you just down a little to standard just because of that one time when you asked someone that came to the class on a date. And that, I don't know, maybe you didn't understand because the deaf community is so small, but that really, you should not do things like that while you're on work time. I'm not saying you can't ever date anyone who comes to the classes, but don't do that in the workplace. We talked about that before, and I do feel like that problem's taken care of.
Yeah, and I understand that. I'm sorry about
and
that.
You're lucky, the girl didn't complain. It sounds like she wanted to go out on a date with you, but someone else complained that they saw you. And so that's just not a professional behavior. So just make sure, if you want to ask someone on a date, that you do it outside of the work environment. But other than that, I think you've got really good work ethics. You come to work on time. You work really hard while you're there, and I've really been pleased with 99%, of your behavior. So I gave you a standard this time. It will probably go up next time now that you've learned from that one experience. Is there anything you want to add about goals you have for the next 6 months?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll have some goals for you. I'll make sure that when I do this, I'll work outside of work and be able to plan and be able to set goals.
Okay, that sounds great, and I appreciate you meeting with me today, and I'm really glad to have you on board. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you.